I'll never forget that sound. The metallic click that freezes your blood and locks the air inside your lungs. Dad stood across the living room, finger tense on the trigger, a vein pulsing at his temple. The gun didn't tremble. My hands did. Sign the damn papers, Alex, he barked, slamming a stack of documents onto the glass table so hard the edges tore. You think you can keep what's not yours? You're nothing without us. Nothing. My knees threatened to buckle, but I forced myself to stay upright. It's my property too, Dad. Grandpa left it to me, and you know it. Before I could finish, Mom's shrill laugh cut through the air. She leaned in the doorway, arms folded, eyes gleaming like she was enjoying a show. Grandpa left you nothing, she sneered. You were an accident, Alex, a stain we've been trying to scrub out for 25 years. Her lips curled. Sign the papers, hand everything to your sister, maybe then we'll let you keep the shirt on your back. Right on cue, Madison entered, silk draped, nails painted blood red, phone in hand. She pretended disinterest, but her smirk gave her away. Oh, don't be so dramatic, she purred. We're just fixing what you would have ruined. You can't even handle money. I do. You mean stealing it? The words flew out before I could stop them. Dad's nostrils flared. The barrel lifted, steady, aimed between my eyes. One more word, he hissed, and you'll regret ever opening your mouth. My pulse thundered, fear clawing at my chest, but beneath it, something colder stirred, something they'd never been able to crush. That smile crept across my face, the one they hated, the one that meant I wasn't beaten yet. Dad saw it, his voice cracked like a whip. What the hell are you smiling at? Because, I whispered, stepping closer, you think you've cornered me, but you're the one standing on a cliff, and you don't even know it yet. Silence fell, 4 figures frozen in a storm, my father clutching the gun, my mother seething poison, my sister drunk on entitlement, and me, the mistake, the disposable one. You're bluffing, Madison said, her laugh was brittle, like glass snapping. You can't touch us, you don't have the guts. You'll see, I replied, my voice no longer my own, low, steady, dangerous. Dad slammed the guns butt against the table, the glass shuddered. Sign it, Alex, now, last chance. The papers lay between us like a battlefield, my grandfather's legacy scrawled in ink and signatures, his land, his workshop, the orchard where he taught me how to chase dragonflies when I was 5, every memory lived in that soil, and they wanted to strip it from me, like I was nothing but a mistake they'd failed to erase. I picked up the pen, Dad's grin spread like a crack-splitting stone, Mom leaned in, her lips curling with triumph. I uncapped the pen, then let it clatter to the floor. No, I said quietly, locking eyes with him, not today. His grin died, his face swelled red, veins bulging at his temple. Alex, his voice wasn't just threatening anymore, it was unstable. Madison groaned, rolling her eyes, for God's sake, just shoot him already, he's useless. That broke something in me, my fear bled into something colder. I stepped back, steadying my voice until it cut like glass. Fine, take your shot, but remember this, everything you think you own, all this control you're choking on, it's dangling by a thread, and I'm the one holding the scissors. I didn't wait for the explosion, I turned, grabbed my bag, and walked out without looking back. Outside, the air bit sharp against my skin, I could still feel the weight of the gun on my chest, but heavier than that was a new clarity, this wasn't over, not even close. They thought they could corner me, strip me, humiliate me into nothing, but I had been preparing for this my whole life. Because Grandpa left me more than memories, he left me a secret. That night, staring at the ceiling of my apartment, the city humming below, I felt the bruises he'd left before, the echoes of my mother's laughter, Madison's smirk, Dad's finger twitching on the trigger. You were an accident, Alex. The words crawled like rot in my chest, but I wasn't thinking about survival anymore. I was thinking about ending them. Not their lives, that would be too merciful. I wanted to dismantle everything they stood on, every illusion of power. The next morning, I unlocked the chest Grandpa had given me, the one my parents had always dismissed as sentimental junk. Inside wasn't junk, it was a weapon. Folders of handwritten notes, diagrams, receipts spanning decades, property deeds, legal records, evidence of Dad's backroom deals. The land wasn't just sentimental, it was worth millions now, and Grandpa had known they'd come for it. At the bottom lay a letter, yellowed with time. Alex, if you're reading this, they've come for what's yours. Don't fight them with anger, fight them with patience. The land is protected, and so is the will. Play it smart, watch them fall on their own swords. My hands trembled as I traced his handwriting. He had left me more than land. He'd left me power. For 2 weeks, I became a ghost. At the county records office, in dusty archives, at every clerk's desk that could hand me another piece of the puzzle. And then I found it. Grandpa had hidden the land inside a private trust before I was even born. My name was the only beneficiary. They thought I was cornered. They had no idea the ground they were standing on was already crumbling beneath them. And then I uncovered something worse, something I could use. Dad had been bleeding the family company dry, funneling money into offshore accounts under Madison's name. Tax evasion, fraud, enough to bury them forever if the right eyes saw it. I didn't confront them, not yet. Instead, I made calls, I sent anonymous packages, I left trails for the right people to follow, to the IRS, the Zoning Commission, and a journalist from college who still owed me. Piece by piece, I built the trap. But information wasn't enough, I wanted them to feel it. So, I RSVP'd yes to Madison's engagement party, a spectacle of chandeliers, champagne, and whispered deals. I didn't tell them I was coming, and when I stepped through those glass doors in the suit Grandpa bought me, the room went silent. Madison's smile snapped. She yanked me aside, her manicured nails digging into my sleeve. What the hell are you doing here? Just here to congratulate you, I said, my grin sharp as broken glass. Across the room, Dad's jaw tightened. Mom leaned close to him, whispering poison. I let them bask, let them believe they had won. A week later, everything detonated. The IRS froze their accounts, the exposé dropped, front page, detailing Dad's offshore transfers funneled through Madison's trust. Investors abandoned ship overnight. Within days, their mansion turned into a cage of panic and shouting. And then came the courier from the Zoning Commission. Letter in hand, the land they'd tried to rip from me was untouchable. Every scheme collapsed in an instant. That night, Dad called 17 times. I didn't answer. But silence wasn't enough anymore. On Sunday, I walked into their house uninvited. No knock, just the sound of my footsteps echoing against their ruin. They sat in the living room, surrounded by foreclosure notices and unpaid bills. Madison's makeup smeared, Mom's nails chipped, Dad's face hollow with years he hadn't yet lived. You, Dad rasped, voice cracking, what have you done? I held his stare. Nothing, I said, Grandpa did it, I just let the truth out. I placed the trust papers on the table, leaned down until my face hovered inches from his. Next time you point a gun at me, I whispered, make sure you're not standing on a cliff first. Then I left. The day I set the final act in motion, the sky was strangely quiet, pale gray, as though the world itself was holding its breath. 3 months had passed since my father leveled a gun at me. 3 months since I watched their empire unravel, piece by piece. But today was the day I buried them without a shovel. It began with Madison's wedding. She clawed to keep the facade intact, parading through whispers and headlines as if the world still owed her reverence. She sent me an invitation, arrogance disguised as obligation, expecting me to decline. I didn't. The Crestfield estate glittered like a crystal palace, gold runners down the aisle, chandeliers dripping light over hundreds of faces, old investors, former allies, people who once bent the knee to my family and now whispered about their fall. I waited until the vows. The moment Madison opened her mouth to say, I do, the venue's massive screens flickered. At first, the crowd thought it was a slideshow, childhood photos, perhaps. Then came the wire transfers, the offshore accounts, fake invoices, tax filings in Madison's name. Every crime they thought buried, illuminated in perfect, merciless clarity. Gasps rippled, phones lit up, Madison froze mid-syllable, color draining from her face. Turn it off, Dad thundered, lunging from his chair, but security stopped him, because I had already spoken to the director weeks earlier. This isn't me, Madison stammered, clutching her fiancé's arm. It's fake, it's all fake. But her fiancé recoiled. His parents rose, whispering harshly. Within minutes, their lawyer was leading him away, leaving Madison abandoned at the altar, humiliated in front of everyone who mattered. Mom's eyes found mine across the aisle, her face red, trembling with rage. You did this, she spat. I tilted my head. No, Mom, you did. But the wedding was only the knife. The twist came after. Grandpa's trust hadn't just made me the sole heir of the land, it gave me control over the old permits my father had used for his secret deals. I revoked them all. Every contract, every partner, every investor, gone, overnight. The company didn't collapse, it imploded. Creditors descended like vultures, lawsuits stacked on their kitchen table. Madison's luxury apartment was repossessed in a week. Within a month, they were driven out of their home. But I hadn't done this for money, or property. I wanted their pride. So I did the one thing they never imagined. I opened Grandpa's land to the public, for free. A park where his workshop once stood, gardens where they had planned luxury condos, and I gave it a name, Marrow Grove, after Grandpa's favorite saying. Family should be the marrow of your bones, not the rot beneath your skin. When their car slowed by the gates one afternoon, I was there. Dad's hand strangled the steering wheel, his face carved with disbelief as children's laughter carried through the air. You turned our land into this, Mom shrieked, her voice shredded. I stepped closer, leaned into the open window, and said quietly, it was never yours, it was never even about you. I stepped back, and watched them drive away, shrunken, powerless, erased. Weeks later, their names became a punchline, once envied, now mocked. Friends avoided them in public, investors laughed about them over cocktails. And the orchard they swore would make them millions rang instead with children's joy, a monument to everything they lost. They had tried to make me sign away my future with a gun at my ribs. Instead, I signed away their legacy, until nothing remained but their shame. That night, under the oldest tree in the park, I unfolded Grandpa's letter once more. Don't fight them with anger, fight them with patience. Tears burned my eyes as I smiled. Patience hadn't just broken them. It had erased them.